What's up, everybody? Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, hanging out with you on this Wednesday. He's Barrett. He's Derek. I'm Rob. Derek whistling his way through work today. We love that. We like that. It's a happy sign.
Yes.
You're rarely ever whistling when you're depressed. You guys ever notice that?
That is
Whistling's
true.
a good sign.
You know what's whistling is also soothing. It's distracting. It helps free your mind. It covers a lot of different areas. But you're right. Very seldom do you hear people whistling if they're down or depressed or troubled.
Yes,
in a lot of ways. But
all right, let me hit you with a couple things here, because this is from JP Fenley, who we've had on the show before, of NBC Sports in Washington. He just tweeted out, DC Attorney General to hold press conference on Thursday at noon to make major announcement regarding Washington Commanders. Comes 1 week after team hired Bank of America to explore options. Something's coming down, fellas. Something's coming down. That was not a coincidence that Daniel Snyder is looking into selling, because he wants to get out before they get him. So
sell.
Just so that would be tomorrow at noon. But that's could be significant.
I wonder what it is.
I think they may find some financial improprieties. They've been cooking the books a little bit, and if that's
cooking the books, huh?
If that's the case, that's where all the other owners who have been somewhat loyal to him or are afraid of him or whatever are going to say, now we're turning our back on you.
It's going to be like wolves, a pack of wolves.
Correct. That will be it if that's the case.
Right.
But that's my speculation. I don't know that for a fact, but we'll find out. So that's the thing you always know with Washington. There's always stuff floating around. Like it's never just about football or any of that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things that makes you appreciate the Eagles and good organizations, that there isn't, a bunch of other stuff happening around.
You know what? It also makes you wonder, why have outside entities gone after Washington so hard? When you think about it, you think they're the only team that have improprieties going on within their organization? You think they're the only organization that's had allegations, whether it's sexual misconduct, racial misconduct, allegations going on within their organization? Why is it that Washington is the one that has been singled out as the dark sheep of the conglomerate all of a sudden? And when I say all of a sudden, I mean over the last few years, going back to the Gruden stuff and all the emails, 650,000 emails investigated and looked. Why Washington? And I think it comes back to one name: Daniel Snyder.
Correct.
Well, somebody's been out to get him. Somebody's been out. Now, somebody's have been out to get him for quite some time, and now. When they say when it rains, it pours. Oh, it's a monsoon right now in that organization.
You know, when he and his wife have been brought up. That's when you know. That's when you know it's something, man. That's when you know it's some major things going on.
Mm-hmm.
The wife has got involved and brought into the whole thing. So
yeah. It feels like something's going to come down. We'll find out. We will find out tomorrow. That is for sure. All right. So a couple things regarding the team that the Eagles are playing. So we know the Commanders go into this thing at 4-5. They may have Chase Young back. No official announcement yet, but he's coming back from that pretty serious knee injury. He was an edge rusher, as we know. The Eagles beat them 24-8 in week 3. Of course, that was a game they had 9 sacks. Keep in mind, Carson Wentz, as the quarterback, we know he tends to hold the ball a little bit longer. Nonetheless, this should be an offensive line that the Eagles, especially with Robert Quinn now having a couple weeks under his belt, this should be an offensive line that you should be able to do some damage against if you're the Eagles defensive line. I don't know if you're going to get 9, but you should get multiple sacks on Taylor Heinicke.
I agree. Taylor Heinicke is not going to stand back there and take 9 sacks. When I go back and look at that game, that first meeting, at least 6 of those sacks were Carson's fault, because there were times he would go back, he would take a 3-step drop, and all of a sudden start curling up before he actually stood in the pocket to the nth degree and either tried to throw it away. You can see his body starts curling up. He's patting the ball. He's never I don't know what happened to him, but since 2017, he's well known around the league as a guy that holds the ball too long, he'll pat the ball. So he took a lot of unnecessary sacks. What are the one thing they teach you about quarterbacks? When in trouble, throw it away and live to throw another day.
Yep.
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do
Carson
it.
Won't do it. He won't do it.
He won't do it. for whatever reason. You know what? If I'm Taylor Heineke, anybody else, if I feel somebody breathing on me, I'm throwing it up to the 15th row.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, I am not taking unnecessary hits. But he won't do it for some reason.
I just think two things. I think there's a few things involved, right? Number one, I think that he's stubborn to a fault and he doesn't learn. And he is who he is, and it's not changing. I think he's not the same athlete he was, where he thinks his body can get him out of things that it can't anymore, right? And I think anybody who's gotten older can relate to that. There's things you think you could do when you were in your 20s that you can't do now, unfortunately.
Just absolutely.
Life. Yeah.
And I think he presses when things go poorly, and he tends to play hero ball. Like, it's admirable to an extent that he wants to keep plays alive, not to do a whole Wentz thing, because it's kind of in the past here. But I think they're the reasons there behind what you were talking about.
But you got to be smarter. When you're a rookie, okay, understand you're taking certain sacks. You're a rookie. But when you've been in the league as long as he has, and you should know the game inside and out. You should know situations down and situations inside and out. You know, if you're first and 10, and your offensive line is struggling, why would you put yourself in second and 20? If you're throwing it, you'd rather be in second and 10 than second and 20. Not this dude. He'd rather be in second and 17, second and 18, second and 20. I just never understood that about him over the last couple of years. He puts himself and his offense in harm's way, or stresses his offense because of the way he plays the game now.
Yes.
I just don't get that about him.
You're 100% right. Now, here's the thing with Heineke. He's not as big.
No.
He doesn't have the cannon that Wentz has, but he's a playmaker. But what comes with that also is he'll make mistakes. He had a couple of critical ones last week, which helped the Vikings come back in that game. So, you know, for a team that's as opportunistic as the Eagles are, the most takeaways in football, again, you should be able to get to him a couple times, but you should also be able to force a turnover with him as well.
Absolutely.
You look at the two guys, pound for pound, Carson's the much better athlete, bigger, stronger athlete.
Yeah. Stronger
arm. But I think what differentiates the two is pocket awareness. I think that Taylor Heineke has more of a pocket awareness than Carson does. Carson just he doesn't think anything's going on. He doesn't think that, all right, once this rush in rushes over the top of him, that he's not going to backtrack and come back and get him. He's like, all right, he's gone now. No, he didn't disappear anywhere. He didn't disappear from the field. He's backtracking and coming back to get you. And that's where Carson doesn't think about. He doesn't understand and have that pocket awareness that once this guy leaves, he's coming back. Or eventually they're going to get to you. The offensive line can't block forever. I block for a lot of quarterbacks that sometimes it's a double-edged sword, because you have a good quarterback that can make you look good even though you're bad. Like, you can not block a soul. He'll get away like Randall. Randall, you could totally whiff on a guy, and he's a good enough athlete that he'll get out the way, get out of harm's way, and still throw it, 70 yards down the field. Mm-hmm. Then you have an athlete like Randall that you could have him block perfectly. You can block for 5 minutes, and he'll hold it for 6 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. But I think Taylor's going to understand what's going on in front of him. We have a much better defensive line than we had back then. Mm-hmm. We'll start off by saying that. Yeah. With Quinn being here and Hassan Reddick stepping into his shoes, I think they're going to try to run on him with Brian Robinson. So they're going to run that 50 defense meaning, I think, what they call it, what's it they call it yesterday? Nickel?
McLean called it
nickel.
Yeah, nickel, I think.
Nickel defense. That just means, that they're running a bare front and have a center guy head up over the center and 2-3 techniques on the outside over the guards.
He called it a 1.5 technique is what the Eagles like to play.
Yeah,
or call it. Yeah, exactly. As opposed to a 2 technique. Yeah.
So, those are things that I can see them running, and he's going to give up more. He's going to give more pressure up the middle from that tilted guy that's over the center than he did when he was out there the 3 technique. I really think that. I think they can take advantage of that.
I think Taylor has the one intangible that Carson doesn't. He's smarter than Carson in the pocket. He's a lot smarter.
I mean, I would agree with that.
I mean, in all honesty, it goes back to what I said initially. He's a smarter decision maker than Carson is when the ball is snapped. And that's the biggest I mean, when you think about it, Washington, as I said yesterday, Washington's last 5 games have been decided by 5 points or left. They're 3-2 in those games.
Mm-hmm.
They could very easily be 5-0 in all of those games. Now, Heineke is quarterback, many of them, but before that, you look at some of Washington's losses. If it wasn't for Carson Wentz doing the duck, dive on a grenade technique back there, they might have won a couple of those other games, which would put them in a much better position record-wise right now. Yeah. So Carson has definitely cost them some games because their defense, for the most part, has not played that bad.
Yeah, they've been pretty decent.
I don't think they have a great defense. They have a great defensive front, but the rest of the defense is okay.
Yeah.
And they could have won. They could have won a few more of those games had it not been for that quarterback.
Well, and look, the two guys you look at, right, and we've talked about it a lot, are Allen and Payne on the interior. Allen's got 5.5 sacks, 11 tackles for losses. Payne's got 4.5, 10 for loss. So, I mean, look, those two have to be accounted for. You got to be able to take care of business with those two, or you can't let them, because they played pretty well in that last game. Everything got kind of lost because the Eagles were just sacking Wentz left and right, and he turned it over and all that. And Devontae had a huge game, by the way, which we'll get to in a second. But those two guys are nasty. I mean, they're real.
They held the Eagles to 72 yards rushing. That stood out to me. If there was one positive for Washington in that game, is that their defense stood their ground against an Eagles running attack that just runs over people.
Yeah.
And
right.
For whatever reason, they stonewalled the Eagles running game. Now, much to the Eagles' credit, it forced the Eagles to pass more. It allowed Devontae to have a huge day because their secondary couldn't stay with them. But that's something to take into consideration now is, can they stop the Eagles' running game again and force Jalen to throw the ball or the offense to throw the ball more than they really want to in this game coming up?
I don't see them containing the Eagles' running game like they did the last time. I think the Eagles took what was there, and they knew they could kill them in the air.
But it could be a similar game plan, though.
Yeah, no, you're right, Gunner. It could. I think if the Eagles want to run, they could do it. But, I mean, Devontae, who has been kind of quiet lately, he had 8 catches, $169 and a touchdown. And, and A.J. Brown was no slouch, 5 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. Like, I think the Eagles probably felt like they may still feel this way, that they're vulnerable in the air. You can hurt them in the air. So you're right. And Goddard's really come on. So maybe they're utilizing all those guys, and they say, all right, the running game will be there when we need it. They might come out firing. They very well could.
Well, didn't at the time we played them, they had like the worst secondary as far as statistically in the division at that time?
Yeah, they did. I mean, we went through their numbers yesterday. I'll just hit you with them again. But the Commanders are better against the run than they are the pass. They're 11th against the run, which isn't terrible, 113 yards per game, but they're 18th against the pass. So, the real issues are on offense. Like, they're 21st in scoring, they're 21st in running, and 22nd in passing. Defense is right around middle of the pack. Like, they're 17th in points, 11th against the run, and 18th against the pass. They're okay. Right. They're not great. They're okay.
And they're only giving up 21 points a game.
Yes.
I mean, that's huge. And for a struggling team, they're not scoring a lot. But if you hold a high-powered offense like the Eagles' offense to 21 points, you have a chance.
Yeah.
You have a chance to stay in the game. And who knows? We've seen some crazy outcomes in these games. I mean,
I'm sorry, man. I'm frozen.
Okay.
You're frozen?
Why do you, if you can hear me, hop off, see if you can get yourself
No, I'm good. I mean,
square.
I don't know. For some reason, Derek's signal, it freezes for me, and our signal, your signal stays the same. I don't know what it is.
All right. It's because you don't like me.
Let me try. I'm gonna log off and then I'm try to log back on.
All right. Hop off and we'll get you squared away. But I think, if you look at that last game, Gunner, Eagles it was 24-8. It felt like it just didn't feel like a real super competitive game. And I don't know. I think
it wasn't.
Yeah. But when you're playing divisional games, weird stuff happens. Like, I think people are looking at this and see the Eagles are double-digit favorites and all that.
Right.
I wouldn't count on that. Weird stuff happens in the division in general.
I wouldn't either, just based on how Washington has played the last 5 games. They're a different team with Heineke. I'm not saying they're all of a sudden a playoff team, but they're a different team with him at the helm.
Yep.
Now, to me, it tells me they much rather have him under center than Carson because they seem to play a better brand of ball when he's out there. Okay.
Yep.
For whatever the case may be, and that's just my theory, is that they got to a point where they were tired of Carson playing, grenade ball, diving the ball and putting them in stressful situations, which offensively, as well as putting the defense under more stress as well. Now they're playing close games.
Yeah.
And they're more competitive now. You look at how the outcomes of their last 5 games have occurred, and how many games has Heineke now been under center for them?
Was it 4? I'll tell you. I'll pull it up. I think it's 4. So he's played 3. This will be his 4th.
Okay, so in all 3 of those games, they're 2-1 with him under center. Okay.
Yep.
Number one, you look at how close those games have been. A play here, a play there, the outcome could have been different, especially in that Vikings game. Now, like I said, he's got a little Brett Favre in him.
He does.
And he threw up that quail. He had a receiver wide open in the middle of the field. He sailed the ball, Pitt, Minnesota. They go down and get the game-winning field goal. But he's giving him new life. It's a bad situation down there in general because of all the outside distractions. Players don't want to talk about it. They don't want to be associated with it. But because they wear their organization's colors, they're right there in the middle of this thing. And, of course, to add insult to injury, now this allegedly big announcement could be coming down tomorrow. The media is going to run to the locker room and ask them about it. And if I'm a player, what do you say? I don't know anything about this.
My name is Bennett, and I ain't in it.
Yep.
I just
work
work
the front office. I don't know what's going on. Even if they do know, I don't know what's going on. But they don't need that. They just want to focus on a rematch with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
They've had too many outside distractions with this team.
No question. So the Commanders had beaten Chicago, Green Bay, Indy before that loss to the Vikings. So they're the 3 teams that they strung together wins against consecutively before that game. I look back to the other thing we haven't even gotten into yet, and we'll do more of this in the next segment in terms of his running versus his passing and all that. But Hurts was money in this game against Washington. 22 of 35, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, didn't have a pick, had a 123.5 passer rating. But you know what? That's kind of along the lines of the way he's played all year.
Exactly.
Yes.
Just really good and really efficient and not turning the ball over.
You're right. That's a plus that he's displayed the entire year. He hasn't put himself in harm's way. He hasn't put the ball in harm's way that much. He's played very consistent. He's not a game managing quarterback, but he's managed the game. He's not somebody that if you put somebody else in this offense, I doubt seriously that I think there's only like 2 quarterbacks in the league that can run this offense and run it effectively. And that's the 2 best guys, Allen and Mahomes, just because they're good. I don't think Jackson can run this offense.
In terms of the ability to throw it that well?
The ability to throw it accurately, number one, read things in front of them and process things quickly, understand that you don't have to put yourself in harm's way. I think that, a lot of these guys put themselves in harm's way. Like Allen, 3 quarterbacks, you're right, Jackson, Mahomes, and Allen. But I just think, I really think that Steichen has done a great job in engineering ways that have counters and counters to the counters in their play selection. Mm-hmm. It's not just the RPOs. It's the RPO that they add a pop pass to, an RPO that they add a little out route to, an RPO where the quarterback can run the ball or he can just hand it off. Usually when you run these plays, the read option plays, there's usually just 3 outcomes, maybe 2 outcomes. Either the quarterback keeps it, and he reads the end, he hands it off, or the quarterback will keep it and he'll go run for it. An RPO, when you run RPOs, you're not reading necessarily the defensive end. You're reading a linebacker or a safety that's in the hole. So that's 2 reads, actually. You read the defensive end. If the defensive end crashes, that means he's crashing so he could tackle the run. So he'll pull it if he crashes. If he stays outside, he'll hand it to the running back. Running back takes it up into the line. But with theirs, they add the RPO with the read option. So same thing. If the end crashes, he'll keep the ball. That way he can turn around, he can throw it to, tight end Dallas Goedert on a little out route. But if they even cover that, the guy that comes down to crack the defender that's over Dallas Goedert can just turn around and make himself available for a little stop route right there, and they scored a touchdown on it. They have a counter to the counter to the counter on these plays that they have, and I mean it's working great for them. But you got to be able to read it, though.
Right. You're right. It's a combination of installing great stuff, but the quarterback's got to be able to execute it.
Exactly.
And he's done it brilliant. It's not just, that's the thing with him and with this offense. It's not just going through progressions and making the right reads in the passing game. It's also in the run game, too. And that's where you really give Hurts a lot of credit.
Right.
Look, that's the thing. He's such a smart guy. He's got such a high football IQ, that you're able to do this kind of stuff. I don't think you would try this, as you mentioned, Barry. There aren't a lot of guys who could pull it off mentally or physically. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have the capabilities of doing it with their head, or they're blessed with the physical talents that they have. You're muted, Barry.
Hello?
Yeah, I got you now.
All right. What is going on here? Oh,
I don't know.
You're right.
What's going on, man?
You're right, man. It's tough. It's tough really trying to Staken has really put this offense totally in Hurts's hands. Like I don't know if they, their second team guy could run this offense. I really don't know. I mean, we got to keep praying that, we don't have to go to Gardner Minshew. Because I doubt seriously if he can run this offense the way that Jalen Hurts runs it.
Yeah, I doubt seriously. I know he couldn't.
Right.
No disrespect to
I think he can run it. I think he can run it efficiently, but I don't know to the level of Jalen. I think he can run it efficiently.
I think he can get you through a couple games, and he's fun, and that's good. That's better than most backups. So I'm not knocking Gardner Minshew, but you can't.
It'll be a totally different offense, I guarantee you.
Yeah,
it would be totally different. You wouldn't see any similarities to what you saw that you saw that last year when he played against the Jets. It was totally different from what they played.
Yeah, but then give Steichen credit for being able to adjust the game plan to suit Gardner Minshew's attributes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right.
You can adjust the offense on a fly, and have your backup quarterback play a strong game, not a great game, but a strong game.
Sure.
To keep, you got to give kudos, where it's due, and that's to the OC.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Look, and we've had this debate, and Shane Steichen's a guy who's going to be in a lot of conversations if this keeps going this way.
What's the trendy thing to do?
Yeah.
The trendy thing to do is get an offensive-minded quarterback. Offensive-minded head coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
The head coach is going to call the plays. It doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like these offensive-minded coaches, defensive-minded coaches, are faring well at this point. I don't know.
Except Robert Saleh.
Saleh's got things going. Yes, he does. Saleh has things going. But look in Denver.
Yeah.
Well, look, I think the most of the success, like Dable, for sure, offensive mind. I'm just trying to think of the rookie coaches and
the rookie coaches. Okay, you look down in Miami.
McDaniel for sure.
McDaniel.
Yep, for sure. Who else?
Is Miami? Was he a defensive mind?
No, he was offense.
He was offense.
McDaniel was.
Minnesota.
No, he's an offensive.
He's offense.
Yeah, he's offensive minded. Right, they're doing great. Yeah, they're
Denver,
7-1.
Denver, was he defensive minded or offensive minded?
Nathaniel Hackett was the Green Bay offensive coordinator.
Oh, that's right, old coordinator.
And Eberflus, who's Chicago.
That's what it was. I was
defense. Thinking. Eberflus.
Eberflus, yeah.
Who else? Dennis Allen was Dennis Allen was defense. Now he's not a rookie coach. He coached in with the Raiders.
He's still not faring well. I mean, look at Texas. Look at Texas.
No.
Lovie Smith,
Lovie Smith the same way.
And that's it. I think that's everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it is. It's definitely the way it has been trending that you would go that direction. That's for sure. All right. So when we come back, as I mentioned, oh, by the way, the other thing to look out for is Washington has really good receivers. I mean, McLaurin, Samuel, they have some guys who will go up and get it.
Better hope Dotson's not playing.
Well, Dotson, he's out right now.
Yeah, that's it. He's been out for a while.
Yeah, Dotson and McKissick are out at this point.
Oh,
yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah,
that does not help. So when we come back, we'll dive into the schedule here and look at the whole notion of would you prefer they lose a game? Do you want that kind of pressure being the undefeated team going in? And we talked a lot about Jalen Hurts. We'll dive into his rushing attempts because they have gone down precipitously. That's for sure. So we'll talk about that, what Eagles are hot going into this game. We'll do all those kind of things. A little later, we'll have our NFL segment, and we'll get into a bunch of other stuff too. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Pro Action Restoration. Now, this is key. I want you to take down this number and this website, and just in case you want to be safe, or if you've already had some issues, they are the people that you reach out to, okay? Whether you have a home, you have a business, you have a property, you've gone through the inconvenience perhaps, or you may in the future, hopefully not, of water, fire, smoke, mold damage, whatever the case may be, Pro Action is the place to call. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I personally have gone through it on a Saturday, called them. They were right out. There was no delay, the fact that it was a Saturday. They came out, they cleaned up the place. The crew was professional, clean. The price was very reasonable. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured, and they've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company as well. So it could be any of the above: water, fire, smoke, mold remediation, you name it. They can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760. That's 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
It's a fall